Hi there, my name is Sandra Hagen Solin. I'm with Capital Solutions, and Kristen has asked me to share with you some insights and developments with regard to federal and state action that are intended to assist you through the COVID-19 pandemic, and specifically the response that has been taken that is having a dramatic effect upon everyone's business and certain yours as well. I wanted to note, of course, that the Women's Chamber is a tremendous resource to you in this time, and on their website they have a number of resources available. I will be talking through some of those things, but I won't be able to go into the depth that is available online for you. Encourage you to visit their site. It'll be updated frequently so that you have the most current information that you need to make important decisions as you look forward towards recovery and the now, and offering options for yourselves and for your employees. So I want to start quickly at the federal level. As we know, this week there have been a tremendous amount of developments, and every day, as you know, things are changing, and staying on top of that I know is incredibly difficult. Yesterday, Congress passed the Congressional CARES Act, which is the Actually, I don't know what it stands for, but it's important because its focus is around the economic recovery and ways in which we can ensure that your business survives this difficult time. Prior to that was legislation, congressional action taken as well. That was the first step and first response by Congress. So we'll talk a little bit about both, and then again talk about how they dovetail into state options and state directives. To start, the Federal Families First Coronavirus Act was the first bill that secured and required certain paid leave for businesses to provide to their employees, that they had to either let go or allow for them to take the necessary time to ensure that they were safe and protecting their families. That requirement extended broadly, but there are provisions within that legislation that allow you to take payroll tax credits against to ensure that those expenses have been covered and reimbursed for you. That's important. It also expanded its initial expansion upon the unemployment insurance fund and expediting a number of those dollars in a way that was meaningful for workers, as if you felt the need to let your workers go. That was the first step for us. Of course, that legislation included a whole host of other things, but specific to business, those were some of the key elements. The CARES Act that was just passed yesterday built upon the President Trump's declaration that your income taxes wouldn't have to be paid at the federal level until July 15th. And that was one additional opportunity for business to utilize the cash that they have for purposes of investing and paying the necessary bills. The CARES Act, which was passed in Congress on the Senate side yesterday, is undergoing debate today, and we're hopeful that it will pass today. There have been some additional hiccups, but we're anxiously awaiting the passage of that. As it currently stands, the legislation does provide a federally guaranteed loan program for small businesses who you must pledge not to lay off your workers. This does create an additional incentive to bring anyone back that you may have had to let go as a result of the response. But this does create some type of incentive for you to bring those folks back. And importantly, the loans are available during this emergency period, ending at the end of June, but that loan will be forgiven if you utilize those resources specifically for payroll, healthcare, very specific to your employee costs and expenses. So that loan will be forgiven, which is tremendous opportunity for business to reinvest, if you will, in your business and to bridge the gap between now and hopefully the end of this pandemic. It does have additional provisions that allow for if you have an SBA loan, you have another bridge opportunity it actually covers 6 months. So you've got monies that will actually be repaying your loan, which is really important as well for those who have small business loans at present. We know, and you've heard a lot about the direct payments to Americans. Of course, as business owners, we are also individual taxpayers. And so we will be seeing a payment to you directly based upon your income levels. There is a graduated rate and sort of scaling, if you will, of the amount of money you will receive directly to you. And also you'll see a benefit for the number of children that you have. $1,200 for those earning up to $75,000, and then it tapers off up to $99,000 per person. Doubles for couples in both instances, and then $500 per child tacked on to all of that. They are hoping to get those monies into your hands no later than April 6th, which I know will be valuable to you and to your families. The legislation also further expands upon the unemployment insurance program that was passed in the first act. There was a significant expansion of unemployment benefits that expand unemployment insurance by 13 weeks with a 4-month enhancement of benefits, $600 additional per week on top of what state unemployment programs pay. That's important for those who you did have to let go, of course, and it will operate through the state unemployment insurance plan. It also, very importantly for small business, it was expanded to also include 1099 sole proprietors, freelancers, furloughed employees, and others who haven't typically been in the unemployment insurance pool. And so for those who find themselves without opportunity, a contract for instance, that is an avenue that can be pursued for your business and to sustain you through the course of this trying time. I wanted to mention as well that last week there was the approval of the Federal Economic Injury Disaster Loans Program through the SBA, and much additional information again is available on the Women's Chamber's website, and so you can access that, determine your eligibility for those loans, apply through those links that are available on the website. We encourage you to look at that if this is an avenue that you need to pursue again to provide additional funds to get you through this difficult time. There are some specific requirements, but again, important that you have that option. Dan Norberg, who is the the regional director for SBA, will be joining us by conference call next week. We are awaiting confirmation of the time, and we will get that information out to all of you, but we're pleased to have him join us to share the multitude of information that is available to you all as business owners and the resources that are available, and have an interactive conversation with him about what is happening now and what we might see happening in the future from an economic recovery perspective. So very pleased to see that. I wanted to mention on the state side, the state is doing things related to business that dovetail well into the federal actions that are taken. For instance, the income tax, both business and personal income tax, is similarly delayed until July 15th, and it does not have any strings attached to that, so you can just postpone your payment of that as well. The state also gave authority for local governments to suspend interest penalty payments until October 31st of this year. So local governments have the option to actually pass resolution to suspend those property tax payments, or property tax interest payments and interest penalties, that is, so that you can make a decision today if you need to keep that cash in your pocket for current expenses versus paying those property taxes that are due on April 30th. A really important option that's available, but it becomes incumbent upon you to encourage your local governments to do so. It's a local government by local government option, and we encourage you to do so. Weld County just this week passed a resolution to provide that benefit to local businesses and residents as well, and it's serving as a model for other local governments to pursue. I encourage you to encourage your local governments to do that, and you have until April 30th to get that done. But this is your opportunity to engage and talk with your local elected officials. We are more than happy to help you in that process. That resolution will also be available online, and you can tap that and share it with your elected leaders and encourage them to do the same as Weld County has done, and that is authorized by the state government. Meanwhile, I should note that the legislative session, which was ongoing as before this all unfolded, they have been on pause for the last couple of weeks, and there is question as to whether or not and when they will come back to pick up the conversations that they left behind. Certainly, the economic landscape has shifted dramatically, and so much of their focus will ultimately be around the state budget and economic recovery and ways in which they can support Coloradoans through this process. We are awaiting Supreme Court decision as to whether or not the time that they will have taken away from the legislature will count against the 120-day limit that is constitutionally mandated, and that will dictate the available time that they have to debate various issues. Of note, the Women's Chamber was actively engaged in conversations with sponsors of the Family Medical Leave Act that was pending before the legislature, had yet to be introduced, actually was in draft form. Certainly the irony of this is that has elevated the conversation in many respects, but we remain very vigilant in ensuring that it doesn't create an additional burden upon business unnecessarily as we move forward. It has highlighted the value of such a program, but again, the burden upon business is important, particularly in this time. We've been fortunate to see recovery of some of the costs associated with the demands for leave in this period of time coming from the federal government, but those opportunities won't perhaps exist moving forward. So we have to walk that line delicately, but we are ready to begin in earnest again those conversations as the legislature renews their session. That's it for now. Again, much happening on a day-to-day basis. We will continue to keep you posted. As you find yourselves needing additional information, please visit the website. We'll be keeping that updated on your behalf, and feel free to touch base with the resources and the individuals at the Chamber to see if they can answer any questions. And I wish you well. I pray for all of you through this recovery. I feel confident that we will all emerge stronger as a result of this, but I know it's a trying time for everyone, and I wish you well, and economically and physically, and that you remain healthy. Thank you.